Hey man, do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Man, my computer! I cannot wait for the end of the year so I can have a new one. You know what's the saddest part in that? That computer is only freaking 1 years old. But the
Oh man, that's
fan
terrible.
the fan is so bad that the computer always overheats. Even if I like place something to elevate the computer so it doesn't burn out too fast, it still burns out so fast. It's just like frustrating at that point.
Yeah, I hear you.
So we are back with part 2. um, I guess I will open parsec. Is it working now?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I will close Teams because I'm not at work and I don't care about Teams when I'm not at work. So, there we go. That computer, man, I cannot wait to change.
It's like I feel like I know your vehicles here. I'm just very confident taking these engagements. At the same time, like I'm preparing to like move my tanks.
Yeah,
So
you
yeah, I'm
can keep
preparing to
going.
move all. Yeah, I'm preparing to move all of my tanks from this top side down into like straight into like where your tanks are. Because like I only need to like leave a few vehicles left here in order to like protect my captures anyway. I don't need to like commit all these tanks here. So now like your only counterplay left is you push on this side, right? Like your vehicles and like your infantry and whatever else you have. You try to like either win back a tower or income, right? And like try to equalize that way. For me, like the answer for me, right, is very simple. I just match your vehicles where your vehicles are going with my vehicles to check them, make sure you can make forward progress, while at the same time like doing these captures. So like you're putting you on a timer basically, where you have to do more damage than I'm doing on the other side fast enough. Otherwise, like the game's over. I mean, like the game's already like pretty hard for you, right? But if I'm gonna play like no lightning strike eagle, that's how like I can close out the game. And then like yeah, and now I'm just like okay, I'm gonna take your tower. So I have two towers, and maybe if I lose my other tower, like at least I have still one tower, right? Like it's still an even game. And then now I just get a bomber. No real point to it. Like it's because I already have a neo tank. So at this point, like if you look at my composition, I already have like 9 tanks. I have like 2 copters, not that many. It's an okay amount. I have like 2 AA. So it's like a fairly well balanced army. At this point in the game, if you got here comfortably, you want to start thinking about like what are the potential punishes against my army, right? So the big one for mine is if you start spamming MDs or Neos. I don't really have a good answer. So Neo and Bomber answer that, right? The next thing I should probably be considering is, okay, what if he has a Bomber or a Stealth? And I should probably be getting like a fighter fairly soon, right? Like these, like slowly, I'm taking away all of your possible options to get counterplay against me with like a surprise build. Oh yeah, also Bomber like answers a B ship build here, right? Which is like how you can slow down my captures. So by like having like a well-rounded army, then I can just shut down all of your options to get back in the game, and I can close it out that way, right? So like you don't just spam tanks after a certain point. You have to start thinking about what are the potential ways my opponent can like win the game, like from this position. Like how can they get back in the game, and how do I take those options away from them? So if you do this like every game, like you will win a lot of games. Then here, like you start committing like a lot of desperate attacks against my center army, which you shouldn't be doing, but I get it. Like at this point, like you feel you've already lost, you have to try something, right? But yeah, like if you want to if you're trying like super hard to win, you should never do these kinds of attacks where like you only have some vehicles into an area where I have like most of my vehicles are, because that just means all of your vehicles that committed to the first attack die. And because like your other vehicles are so far back, they can't like punish what I killed with, right?
Yeah.
Also, like your tanks staying here is not very good. Like they should either be pushing here or pushing here, but they should never just be staying still somewhere, unless like you're afraid there are tanks here. But I think like you can be fairly sure like I don't have tanks here because of like what you've seen here. Although I guess like maybe you were scared of lightning strike because I didn't tell you I was gonna try to win without lightning strike. So maybe like you were just respecting that and like staying behind.
I was
But yeah,
actually
like now,
scared. I didn't understood why you were not using lightning strike. I was like, I'm scared.
well, yeah. So here's the other thing, right? Like, if Eagle does not have to use lightning strike, he shouldn't use lightning strike. This is something like I've been telling a lot of like people who ask me for advice playing Eagle, because like too often what Eagle players will do is, oh, I have lightning strike, I'm gonna use it immediately, right? And like it turns
Yeah.
out there's not enough to hit, and like they throw the game that way. Whereas if you're Eagle, like one of your strongest plays actually, if your opponent never forces you to lightning strike, just build 50 tanks, right? Or build like 50 bombers, something like that, right? And then what do they do? Like everything dies to like 50 bombers, right? Or like get like as many vehicles as you want. And like the moment if they commit like a few units and they just die and there's no punish, then you don't have to use lightning strike. That's just called free units, right? Like that's free units, right? And if you take a city and they don't punish you, then you have free cities, right? Like you're just eating income. If they do try to attack you and they commit like too few vehicles, you just kill those vehicles and capture again, right? Like you just keep repeating that. And the moment they commit too many vehicles, that's when you see, oh, okay, so this is the lightning strike that wins me the game. Then you just use it then, right?
Yeah.
And that's like the easiest way for you to win as Eagle. So the first lightning strike is very important. You never want to waste it. It's okay as Eagle. It's perfectly okay to just hold it, right? And like not use it. And you will win a lot of fog games this way. So the counterplay to this is opponents have to be able to force Eagle to use the first lightning strike. They cannot allow Eagle to do this. If Eagle does this, he's winning. Right?
Yeah.
It's very easily winning. Then here, like, you try to like make some movements happening, but again, like your army is just so split up. I guess like just very scared of like the lightning strike.
I'm like,
Oops,
what does he have in his sleeves?
You suddenly see like 10 stealths coming out of nowhere, and then it's just PTSD. Yeah, here I think I'm just like content to repair at this point because like I have a lot of weak.
Advanced Warrior, man, best meme ever. What does lightning strike do again? I always use it, but nothing happens to my units. I hope so, Advanced Warrior.
Oops. Yeah, I mean, we don't have to go through that turn specifically. Like, it's just like me, like, killing some of like your like, we just keep repeating this process for the rest of the game, I believe. Like, I capture something, you commit some vehicles, I kill those vehicles, and I move forward again.
My
like, we just
art,
keep doing
my art
that.
earns buildings.
Yeah. And this is actually like I think the first time you actually like have any kind of like income advantage against me in the entire game. But you're also down like 40k units. After like 2 Winter Furies, you're still down 40,000, and I still haven't used my lightning strike. And like the unit count is still like so bad for you. It's an awful position to play from.
At that point, I know I lost, but hey, let's have that Neo.
I mean, it's a decent response, right? Like you can't just let the Neo go unanswered. And I think like Neo is your best option here because. So we can go into like a bit of the theory, right? Like how do you answer a Neo tank or like a tank?
Neo tank.
There are a couple of different ways. Artillery is like the easiest one, right? The problem with artillery is like if you have less tanks, they're not good. Your artillery, you have less tanks or like yes unit count in general, which is true here. Artillery are not good against heavy tanks, right?
Yeah.
You can get a bomber, but a problem with the bomber is like if they have more tanks than you, then you can't hunt down their anti-air. You don't have enough tanks to get their anti-air. The anti-air kills your bomber, and then it's still bad, right?
Yeah.
Final options like you get your own Neo tank, and for you like this is the simplest and like the best option, right?
I think battle archery can also be a fast response because they are faster than artillery, but they are not really great. But they are good to like slow down the Neo tank instead of just letting the Neo tank go crazy.
Yeah, it also kind of depends on like do you have enough tanks to like hunt down the AA, right? So like if I guess like if 2 copters hit the Neo tank and it's like not sitting on like a forest or something better, it will bring it down to 5. The problem is like the Neo can go repair, right? And then like if both copters die, then you still have no answer. So that's kind of like problematic. There are cases where like copter is enough, but I wouldn't like reliably rely on a copter to answer Neo tank, especially in this kind of board state where there are so many vehicles around. Like for sure there is anti-air. it's not even clear that you can get 2 attacks on the Neo tank. Like usually there will be
Usually,
stuff
when
around the
there's
Neo
that
tank. You have
board
to kill.
state, someone resign. That's funny because I currently play that game where my opponent doesn't want to resign, and he had like the economy lead for most of the game, but his unit count was kind of trash, so I was able to like kill off what he had and then steal back the buildings, and I came back and now I have better unit count and better economy, and now the guy doesn't resign, and I'm like, dude, I control like 65% of the map, I have almost twice your income, you should just like resign. And he just doesn't want to.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, some people will play to like the bitter end. In those kinds of games, you just like have to learn to close it up cleanly. Here you get a fighter. I think it's reasonable because like maybe you're suspecting a bomber or a stealth, and like
Yeah.
you know it's eagle. Like you kind of just need it. Like you, but again, like everything wins for me at this point. So it's not
I
like
have the
super
stealth PTSD. That's what's going on right now.
Yeah. And then here, like I think this is close to over, right? Like
I
if
think
you
I
resign
resigned
this
day
turn, or-
22. 21.
Okay, so hey, a
22
couple
or
more turns.
21.
Yeah, but I guess like the most instructive thing about this part of the game is like it's just showing people like how do you close out the game against someone who just like suicides, like doesn't resign, like suicide stuff into you. Just keep doing this, right? Like you just keep capping stuff. You play very patiently. If they keep giving you free material, then you can win even without lightning strike against an Olaf. Like it's that good. So there are a lot of scenarios where this is actually true that the power actually doesn't matter. It's like what you did everything before the power that decides the game. So, you know, just playing very patiently. Here, I also like start base skipping. This is no longer a war crime. I'm gonna explain because you can only build 50 units, right? At this point in the game, like I have 22 infantry. 20 to about 25 infantry is like the sweet spot for me. Like you don't really want more than that because like you want vehicles. I already have like enough tanks. I don't need more tanks. So what do I want? Like, do I want another bomb? Not really, because like two bombers are not better than one bomber. Not really. Do I want more tanks? I have enough tanks. Do I want more anti-air? Maybe, but I'm Eagle, and like, you know, I have like the tank advantage. I think my anti-airs are enough. 3 is fine, right? So what else can I do with my money? Get a battleship? I don't need a battleship. Because like, what is it gonna hit, right?
Biggest
So I just
flex,
like, okay.
battleship.
Yeah. So like the only other options, right, is like I either get a Neo tank or I do something fully meme. I build a lander and then like a mega tank next turn, and I move the mega tank onto like, you know, your side of the map and like watch what you do to it. But you know, everything is like winning at this point. But Neo tank is like the best build in my opinion for this reason.
I'm about to hit the unit cap in my game. The guy doesn't want to resign. And he has like 10 units. Maybe 12.
I mean, what you can do in that situation for like the flex point is just like route him, right? Like you don't win by like capturing each unit. You just run down his bases.
Or
just
by
for
the
fun of it.
capture, because there's the capture rule. I'm about to make the capture rule. I think I'm like 1 or 2 buildings short, and I'm done with the capture rule. And that's funny, speaking about route, I played this game a few days ago. Another one that didn't want to resign. I actually won by route.
That's interesting. I think like I've only ever won by route once
Lovely
ever.
route, bruh. I was able to lock his airport at his base. I was like, that guy is done.
Okay, so in this position you resign, I think like, you know, it's fairly reasonable, right? Like there's really nothing else you can do. Like if your opponent has 2 or 3 Winter Furies and like they're still clearly winning and like they're just not using their lightning strike, then I think like it's a fairly reasonable resign. There's nothing you can really do against them unless like they throw super hard.
Or unless you skip like your next 2 or 3 turns to let me come back.
Yeah,
But
if I skip like
even if you don't move for like 3 turns, there's no way I'm beating that dead ball.
I mean, if I skip for 3 turns, you have some like the game's even again because I gave you 3 like. But yeah, like I'm done. Give you 3 lightning strikes, the game's just in any scenario like 1 lightning strike should be like winning.
Man, is there any closing thoughts or stuff you would like to add to this?
Yeah, I will say like I think people should try to like this build is obviously very good. I think people should experiment though with like the lander opening I talked about. I think that has a lot of potential, but again, it's really unexplored. Um, and yeah, like keep in mind like having a good composition will usually like win you most games. You don't have to be too fancy about it, right? Like build tank AA copter and like infantry, and then when you have enough of those, then just get neo tanks and bombers, and you play patiently, close out the game. It's really simple, but so many players don't understand this. But this is like a very like almost simple way. Like how do you get to like 1200 in fog? You just do this every game.
That's interesting. And another closing thoughts I would like to add, guys. If you know you don't have the economy or the unit count, resign. Don't be like me right now. Just resign. It's better for everyone. Anyway, thank you a lot for coming. It's always amazing having you around. I enjoyed my time, even if I knew I lost. I knew I would learn a lot from it, and I did. I actually realized my opening was kind of shit. Don't capture that building first, rush toward these, and there's only one way to open this map. Rickons! Because Rickons are ridiculous sometimes. Hell yeah. So, anything else to add?
No, I'm all good on my end.
Thank you very much again, man. I enjoyed my time. We will play more for sure if you are into it. Just take a look to our party chat or something. Advanced Warrior has some ideas I kinda like. So, anyway, I hope everyone enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe